beautiful storm rolling in. So I've got us here as it starts to come in and cover up the sun. I'm going to read us a story today. Excuse me. Perfect vision. Because it is beautiful out here. Jana was revered throughout the land as a wise woman and a sorceress of great power. When people heard that she was to have a child, there was much excitement. Many speculated that the child's father might even be one of the gods, and everyone wondered whether the child would possess the powers of Jana. After a long labor, during which she was attended by all of the most skilled midwives, as well as by the chief magician of the clan, Jana gave birth to a healthy baby girl. The child, who possessed the biggest and brightest brown eyes anyone could remember seeing, was called Carla, in honor of one of the clan's most revered ancestors. And from the moment of her birth, there were whispers among the members of the clan about whether she would possess perfect vision. Carla was a happy child who seemed content no matter who held her or came to play with her. She smiled easily, but she also had a calm and serious side that caused many to comment that she seemed older than her years. Soon, there were many knowing nods and winks as villagers and court attendants alike began to believe that Carla possessed powers like her mother's. Because she was the daughter of a wise woman like her mother's. Oh, Lordy, I skipped there. Hang on. Because she was the daughter of a wise woman, the very best teachers in the land were selected to supervise her education. And as she grew into a young woman, Carla learned all there was to know about the plants that healed and the rituals that soothed. She learned the ancient chants that had the power to change the direction of the wind and the force of the rain. And she learned to still the heart of her enemy and to make even the most raging beast respond to her gentle command. All of these things she learned, but still, no one knew if she was one of the ones with perfect vision. Throughout her childhood, Carla had often heard people whisper about something called perfect vision, but she herself had no idea what they meant by the words that were uttered in hushed tones and spoken with averted gaze. Carla knew that she had been blessed with a keen sense of sight and that she could spot a rabbit running across the field at a great distance. But somehow she did not think that was the kind of vision people were talking about. Sometimes when she was alone, she would wonder what perfect vision was, and if she was indeed one of the chosen ones. One day when Carla was sitting in the garden, preparing for her daily lesson and playing with one of the stray cats that made its home under the dense shrubs, she decided to ask her most solemn teacher about perfect vision. Master Magician, she began, somewhat tentatively, I have been a good student, and I have tried to learn all that you have taught me. I have never questioned your insights, nor have I doubted your authority. But now I must ask you a question about something that you have never mentioned. Ever since I was a small child, people have whispered about perfect vision and have wondered if I possessed such powers. But no one has ever told me what those powers might be. I should so like to know so that I might be able to tell if I have the special powers. My dear child, began the magician, you are correct that I have not spoken of perfect vision. It is a rare and unique power possessed only by a few chosen ones in each generation. I cannot tell you what it is, because I myself do not possess the powers. I only know that if you are one of the ones with perfect vision, you will know it soon enough. Now, let us begin your lesson and talk no more of this. Carla was even more confused after her conversation with the magician than she had been before. Whatever this perfect vision was, it was certainly something mysterious. She would just have to wait and see. One day, Carla was watching as three of the younger children were playing by the edge of the cliffs that overlooked the sea. Carla thought to herself, those children are too close to the edge of the cliffs. If they stumble on some loose rocks, they will surely fall and hurt themselves. Be careful, she called out to the laughing children. Those cliffs are dangerous. Don't worry, called the children. We are just having fun and you want to spoil our good time. As Carla was about to call out to the children one more time, the cliff gave way and the children tumbled into the sea. Villagers ran from all directions, crying and wailing as they realized what had happened. If only someone could have seen how dangerous that cliff was, said one woman, as she walked away shaking her head in disbelief. But I did see how dangerous it was, thought Carla. I tried to warn the children, but they would not listen. They thought me a silly fool who just wanted to ruin their good time. Carla shuddered as she recalled the scene of the children falling onto the rocks below. Perhaps her awareness of the danger the children faced was somehow connected to what people meant by perfect vision. Months passed, and Carla put the incident with the children out of her mind. She went about her regular routine and tried not to think about perfect vision. And then one day a group of young men rode into the village and asked for volunteers to join them in an expedition to dig for gold in the distant hills. Each volunteer was to bring enough food and money to last for 6 months of exploring. The young men boasted of their previous successes and assured the eager volunteers that riches would soon be theirs. As Carla heard of the plans, she had a vision of her fellow villagers wandering lost in the hills, hungry and cold, their money stolen by the boastful young men. Don't go, she called out. You do not know these men. They might very well be robbers who are planning to take your money and leave you stranded in the hills. No sooner were the words out of her mouth, and Carla was heckled and shouted down by her fellow villagers. "You worry too much, Carla. We just want to have an adventure. You would stop us from making our fortune with your silly fears. Leave us alone, Carla." Carla hung her head and walked away. She knew she would never see some of her eager countrymen again. Now, Carla knew what perfect vision was, and she wasn't sure she liked it very much. Several years passed, and several more times Carla had visions of what was about to happen. Each time she told people what she saw, and each time she tried to warn them to change their behavior and thus avoid almost certain disaster. She told the farmer not to plant in March, but to wait until May, because there was going to be a late frost. And she told the young maiden to find another love, because the man she was engaged to would surely make her cry. But each time people scorned Carla's advice. She was told that she worried too much, or that she was too curious, too cautious. People criticized her for ruining their fun and putting a serious face on everything. After a while, people turned away when they saw Carla coming. They did not want to be told to stop this or to avoid that. It did not matter that her visions came true. People simply wanted to go about their lives and take their own chances. Carla grew sad and more isolated with the passing years. She did not like being the one to see what was going to happen. So one day, she went to her old school teacher and asked him, what should she do with this perfect vision that allowed her to see things and know things, but gave her no power to do anything about what she saw, except, tell people who seemed not at all interested in heeding her advice. The old magician listened to Carla's story and felt compassion for his former pupil, who seemed so lonely and distressed. "My dearest Carla," he began, "I wish I knew how to help you, but since I myself do not possess perfect vision, my advice will be somewhat flawed. It seems, however, that your greatest distress comes from the reactions of your fellow villagers who do not want to benefit from your foresight. Perhaps all would be well if you simply kept your visions to yourself. Just because you see the future does not mean that you have to speak it." "Of course," gushed Carla. "That is just the answer that I have been seeking. I will keep my visions to myself and all will be well. Thank you. Thank you. Your advice is indeed wise." Carla left the magician happier than she had been in a long time, and for a while she thought that all would be well. But soon after she visited the magician, Carla had another vision. This time she tried to keep her thoughts to herself, but the images she saw kept forcing themselves into her consciousness. Just keeping them to herself did not make them go away. No, it doesn't. She tried to keep her own counsel, but finally the visions were so powerful that she found herself telling what she saw to anyone who would listen. The magician's advice had failed. She would have to find a better way to deal with her perfect vision. After much thought, Carla decided to seek the counsel of the wisest sorceress in the land. Surely the old one would know how to make this perfect vision go away. Carla traveled over the hills to the temple where the Old One lived and worked her spells. As Carla approached the sorceress, she thought about what she was going to say. She would ask the Old One if she could take the gift of perfect vision and give it back. Most revered sorceress, began Carla, I am the daughter of Janna and have been schooled in the ways of the wise ones. I have come to you to ask about my perfect vision. I have the gift of perfect sight, and I would like to know how I might give this gift back. You see, it is not so easy to possess perfect vision. My dear, dear child, I know all too well what it is like to have perfect vision. You see, I have lived my life possessing the very same power, and I too have had to find a way to live with this awesome vision. But before I tell you of my experience and that of others who were chosen to have perfect vision, I must ask you one question. What makes you think that perfect vision is a gift? And that's the end of that one. Here's the book I've been reading. I'm working on my fingernails, so they're not perfect this morning, y'all. They'll be perfect for the festival. Let's see. I've got a little extra piece that I've been adding to these. The myth commentary, it says. The birds, the thunder. I hope you can hear it in this. I can feel it, so I hope you can hear it. All right, here's our commentary written by the author. Perfect vision. One of the most difficult struggles is to see the world with clarity and honesty. If we all want to believe that our decisions are sound and our choices wise, then we often find a way to ignore those signs that suggest otherwise. The people in our lives who try to tell us that we are about to make a mistake may seem like our worst enemies rather than our best friends. Yet for each of us, genuine growth and change require that we recognize the truth that sits before us, even if it means that we will have to put aside an activity or a relationship that satisfies us for the moment. Still, seeking the truth should not mean that we live in fear and anxiety. Sometimes the answer to a healthy life lies in seeing reality, making adjustments, and then continuing to find ways to be engaged in the world. And then the last part. I actually like the sound of pages turning. Come on, baby, where's it at? There we go. Oh my lord. Okay, here's the questions that are attached to this one. There are 14 of them. And the wind is picking up. Thanks for being with me. I appreciate you. Alright, here's the questions. Number 1. How do you define your own intuition? What is the difference between intuition and decision making that is based on fear and anxiety? Number 2. Have there been lessons that you learned from the experience or the vision of others? What lessons have you had to learn from personal experience? What are the essential differences between those two ways of learning? Number 3. What keeps you from seeing the obvious outcome of certain behaviors or choices? Number 4, have there been times when you saw something and did not tell others what you saw? Are there some truths that should not be spoken? Number 5, how do you convey concern and care without alienating the person that you want to help? Do you have talents that might help those you care for without being too intrusive? Number 6, can you receive warnings from others? What conditions make you able or unable to receive difficult communications? Number 7, when do you feel that you have an obligation to tell someone what you see despite what they might say or do? Number 8, how often are you correct in your assessment of how others will receive your advice? Number 9, is there a price that you pay for speaking a truth that others may not want to hear? How much is isolation a part of that price? Number 10, are there times when your vision is more the product of prejudice than wisdom? Number 11, how do you manage your own feelings when you have done all you can and still have no control over the outcome of events? Number 12, how much are uncertainty and anxiety a part of everyday life? Good morning, baby. I see you, baby. Hi, sweetheart. He's gonna keep flying around until I acknowledge him. You know, birds. How much? Okay, number 12. How much are uncertainty and anxiety a part of everyday life? Number 13. How much do you have to ignore everyday dangers in order to get on with the business of living your life? At what times have you found it hard to wear necessary blinders? And the final one, number 14. What are the benefits of seeing and telling it like it is? How does your world change when you make a commitment to speak the truth? That is the end of everything having to do with that one. This is probably my favorite out of the book. And I appreciate getting to share it with you. Thanks for being with me this morning and listening and watching the storm come in. I appreciate you.